Is there like a specific camera I need to look at or anything, or we're just
all
talking and let them do their thing?
We just look around.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the Hard Luck Outdoorsman, episode 7. We're going to be covering a little bit of turkey hunting today. It's March finally, so we're just a month away from getting into the turkey woods here in North Carolina. I'm your host, Cody.
I'm your other host, Eric.
And we actually have our first special guest of the Hard Luck Outdoorsman podcast. So we've got my brother Hunter on to talk turkey hunting. He is, as much as it pains me, probably one of the best turkey hunters I know. Certainly one of the best turkey talkers I know as far as calling turkeys. So without further ado, Hunter, why don't you jump in, talk about a little of your background turkey hunting and what you've been doing the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's sometimes,
you for coming on.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, for sure. This is really exciting, and I'm happy to be able to come on and talk turkey a little bit. It's a big passion of mine, and I appreciate the compliments. It's a little hard to come by a compliment from your big brother, so maybe I need to come on a podcast with you more often.
Yeah. He's calling enough turkeys for me to kill, but I feel like I can dish a couple out.
No, I appreciate it. I don't consider myself to be an incredible turkey hunter by any means, but I like to get out and bumble around in the woods a little bit and squawk around and see if I can find one. It's definitely a passion of mine, and I've been blessed to be able to do a lot of it over the last few years, especially after graduating college. So I'm excited to be able to just get on here and talk with y'all a little bit.
Yeah. So talk about, obviously we grew up in the same hunting club. Mm-hmm. Dad taking us in the woods, us learning from Dad a couple of years, then maybe flipping it around and teaching Dad a few things, a few tricks of our own. Obviously learning a ton from Uncle Dexter and other guys at the club. Mm-hmm. So maybe talk about, shifting from that. These past couple of years you've been doing a lot more public land hunting, why you kind of made that transition and kind of what you miss maybe, and then also what you've enjoyed about the public land experience.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know this, I killed a turkey before Cody did.
Yep, sure did. I think I missed two before I think I missed twice before I ever killed one to catch up to Hunter.
Yeah, I was pretty spoiled early on. My first ever turkey hunt, I was 8 years old. I got to go on Youth Day in North Carolina here at our hunting club with Dad and Uncle Dexter, and I didn't really know anything about what I was doing other than Cody had gotten to go the last couple of years, and so I was definitely wanting to get after it because anything Cody could do, I was going to try and do better.
Yep.
My Uncle Dexter, he set up a blind for us the day before. We just went and sat down in it. He sat outside the blind. We had a couple of decoys 15 yards out. We had them gobbling off the roost. He gave a couple of clucks and yelps first thing in the morning. They flew down and ran right to the decoys, and I shot them at 15 yards 15 minutes after it hit daylight. So I was, and as both of you know, that is not at all how turkey hunting works. Right. It's not how it goes.
Never.
Was
that the morning it snowed too?
It did snow after I killed.
What a morning.
Yeah, it was a weird morning.
Mm-hmm. It was an incredible morning, and I caught the bug instantly. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a defining moment for the course of my life, in all honesty. And I think from that day on, I've always said that I like turkey hunting more than deer hunting.
Yeah, you've definitely said that.
Yeah, so, as far as turkey hunting goes, like, I grew up at the same club as Cody, and that's all we really knew until we hit college. I would go every year, and I would always have either Dad or Uncle Dexter, Mr. Sammy, Mr. D. Like, I had a lot of different, I guess you could call them mentors almost, that I got to go with. With me being the middle child, it was kind of the luck of the draw that that Cody and our younger brother Bradley, like, they kind of got to go with our family. So like Cody usually would go with Uncle Dexter, or Bradley would go with Uncle Dexter, and the other one would go with Dad. And they always had to find somebody for me to go hunting with.
Yeah.
So I actually benefited from that because I got to go with a bunch of different people when I was growing up and experience a lot of different styles and everything else, which was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I really didn't get into the hard knocks really because, like, you know, our hunting club had a crazy turkey population, still does as far as I know. And
Yep.
so college hit, and I did a little bit of deer hunting with Cody in college out on public in South Carolina, but didn't really care all that much about it.
Nobody was down there.
The deer hunting is not great down there in our experience.
One of them's a spike, right?
Yeah.
Shoot it.
South Carolina public land, there are not a lot of great
No.
deer hunting areas, and that's not to try and steer people away from it. If you want to go spend your money,
Go for it.
feel free.
Go for it.
You're not going to
100%.
bother me.
It is, and to anybody that is successful hunting deer in South Carolina on public land,
They got a
you're,
gift.
You need to be on this podcast.
yeah, give them a call and come on here and talk. I'd love to hear that one. Yeah, no. So I with being at school and everything, I don't think we were allowed to have shotguns on campus or anything like that. And we stayed.
You had to check it in with public safety.
That's right, and we stayed in the dorms, and I didn't want to go through that whole battle, so I actually just brought my bow down in the spring, and I would turkey hunt with my bow down there, and was very unsuccessful. I could get on turkeys all the time. It was just trouble being able to get after them with the bow.
That's what the compound bow?
Yeah, it was a compound. If you've ever watched Jordan Barnes on Close Proximity TV, he's on YouTube. I kind of took inspiration from him. He hunts with a bow, no blind, anything like that, and he's incredible. He's a really cool dude. Yeah, y'all should definitely check him out. He's got some great content.
Me either. Is he one of those guys that like they put the fan on the bow and they go up there and start clucking and acting like a turkey?
No. So he takes like some ivy, some like fake foliage from like Hobby Lobby or whatever, and he actually zip ties it onto his bow, so you know his bow kind of almost acts as a blind for him. I mean, it's this wide, so like how much space do you really get? And yeah, so I did the same thing. I got some like leafy stuff, like plastic leaves from I think it was like Michael's or something like that, and zip tied them onto my bow, and I was out there in South Carolina running around. I missed classes all the time, getting after turkeys and everything else. Didn't find any success, but it was my first opportunity to hunt on public land for turkeys, and it was just so addicting because there wasn't a morning that I would wake up and, you know, every morning I'd wake up and I'd be like, man, they might be gobbling this morning, and I had to get after it. Like it was just something I had to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you know, that really kind of got me into the public land thing and opened my eyes to that whole opportunity for sure.
So obviously you're not carrying your bow every time anymore. So let's talk a little bit about your setup going into the woods. Everybody carries a different setup. I mean, before you got here, me and Eric were setting up, talking about how Eric brings his stool into the woods.
Yeah, Cody doesn't like that.
It's like a little pedestal stool, so he's not sitting
I
on the
just learned
ground.
today. He was like, he said, I don't care. And he was like, oh, I remember the day exactly and where we hunted. Like, you care.
I
You
can
were
walk through
ticked off
the
that
exact
day.
scenario of where we were hunting, and I remember Eric pulling out that stool, and I'm like, what the heck is that? But, you know, that's Eric's prerogative. We're going to hunt. It didn't really bother me, but it stuck in my mind.
So let me explain here. I kind of a little frugal with stuff I don't do as much. I'm more of a deer hunter, so I'm like, I'm just gonna get the old backpack out and a little stool that I got handed out from my dad. Right? Cody wants me, you know,
On the ground,
On the
between
ground.
the roots, hugging that tree like it's going out of
and
style.
I understand because you know turkey's eyes. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know,
You gotta have that backpack.
You gotta blend in. So it makes sense why I don't kill a lot of turkeys because you know I'm way up here.
But
Oh,
it's
thanks to
okay.
Cody.
It's
Letting
okay.
me know today.
We talked it out. We're all good. But going along those lines, obviously everyone hunts a little differently. Some people like to go sit in the blind with 2 decoys or 4 decoys or a dozen decoys out in front of them, the duck hunters out there. So you know, when you go into the turkey woods, kind of what's your setup as far as what you're toting in your vest, calls, water bottles, stuff like that. You know, how heavy are you carrying, how light, and then also let's hear about your shotgun, maybe your loads that you're running right now. Kind of what are you toting into the woods?
Okay, yeah. So the vest I use, I believe it's the Nightingale Run and Gun 300 or something like that. Okay. It's a very small, like it's basically just a couple of straps, like they're shoulder straps, and they just have pockets all the way down. And then it's just got a flip down seat on the back, and it's got a lot of vests have like that pouch in the back, like a turkey carrying pouch or whatever. And you can throw decoys. This one doesn't have that. It just has a small backpack about like this. And it's just got like a hydration bladder in there. I like to stay as light as possible. I tend to hunt some very hilly country or even mountains, and I'm definitely more of a run and gun guy. Like if there's not a turkey goblin within 200 yards of me, I'm finding one. And so I like to keep it as light as possible, and that vest kind of enables me to do that.
How long ago did you switch to that vest?
It's been a few years now. I've probably been running that vest for, I want to say 4 years.
Okay.
So shortly after I got out of college, I switched over to that vest because I used to have a bigger, bulkier one.
Yeah, because I still use the same vest I've had since Mom and Dad got me one at 10 years old. I still have the exact same vest.
The old Mossio, like Grand Slam or whatever it was.
From, gosh, I guess 2000 and probably 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because they got me an adult medium so I could grow into it. And now I'm probably a large and still toting around that adult medium.
Yeah,
but either way, I was just curious when you switched, if you did that when you were trying to bow hunt them or what.
No, I was a broke college kid and couldn't afford to really do. Couldn't really afford to switch a vest. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
No, but I've been running that for a few years, and I don't think I'd change a thing about it, honestly. I've been thinking about removing the seat from it entirely and just sitting on the ground.
I got a stool for you.
Hey, that brings up another question. Where's your old vest? I heard Eric's in the market for one.
Oh man,
I might be.
I might have one actually.
This is sounding like missing out. I might need to get myself a vest.
I think I have a vest actually. I might be able to give it to you.
It's up to you. I know. I mean.
See, right now we're on like the marketplace of turkey hunting. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I see the stool again, now we've had it out. we can remove the stool. I'll carry an extra seat cushion.
Yeah, I can go ahead and tell you, if you ever show up in the woods with a stool and I'm around, dude, I'm leaving. It's just, I'll be like, all right, you hunt here. I'm gonna go about 1,000 yards this direction.
And this is not to hate on Eric. He's killed his turkeys. It's just we had to throw a little pick in there.
I feel like I'm getting hated on here. I don't know. I beg to differ. But no, I definitely need to get a vest. I'll tell you that much. The comfort part of it and being able to have all your calls on you, diaphragms, ears, slate.
It is convenient to be able to just get it. But either way, sorry, I digress. Hunter, carry on with kind of what you throw in your pack and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, you probably can gather from how small my vest is that I don't carry a lot anyways. A lot of guys like to carry a bunch of different calls. I carry 2 calls with me. Well, I carry 1 pot call and I carry like 3 or 4 diaphragm calls, because if you blow one out in the middle of the woods, you're going to hate yourself because then you don't have one to blow. And I've done it and it's not fun. I actually really like the Pinhoti project. Dave Owens, he makes his own calls. He's won a bunch of competitions, Grand National Champion with the NWTF, all that fun stuff.
I saw he just won again this year.
He did, yeah. I actually really like his calls. They fit my mouth really well. I blow them really good. So I've been using those for, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years. I run a couple of his different calls. I always go with a ghost cut. I blow ghost cut really good. So I run ghost cut, but I run different thicknesses of reeds and stuff like that on the ghost cut.
You did switch to reedless a couple years ago, didn't you? Or start trying to run reedless because you felt like it created a different sound?
I experimented with a single reed.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so your basic calls, you're going to have 1, 2, or 3 reeds, single, double, triple. The ones that Dave Owens makes are actually, I believe, 2.5 reeds. And so I tried the single reed out. It didn't go super well for me. I couldn't quite get the sound I liked, and I run these ghost cut calls from Dave Owens pretty well. I like the sound I get from them, and I've killed turkeys with them, so I've basically decided to just stick with those.
So are those doubles or triple?
They're 2.5.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So they're a little bit different. They actually have like 2 regular sized reeds, and I believe it's the bottom reed is actually cut back, so
Okay.
it's like half size.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I get a lot of good sounds out of that. You can really get the high notes really good if you do some keys and try to do more feeding clucks and stuff like that. And so yeah, I keep those in my vest. I keep probably 4 of them in my vest at any given time, different reed thicknesses. And I'll double up on a couple of them in case I blow one out. But
So those diaphragms, they all have variation to them, or are they all the same?
so
I think you might have said that. I just want to make.
yeah, so the thickness of the reeds changes. So I think he sells like 3 or 4 different thicknesses in his ghost cut, and so you're just able to produce different sounds based on how thick those reeds are.
Gotcha.
So I keep a couple different ones in there just so I can change up my sound. Or sometimes I'll put 2 calls in my mouth if I want to sound like multiple turkeys, and I'll keep one in my cheek and call with one, and then swap it out to the other side and call.
Never tried that.
It saves you from having to use your hands. I've heard people doing it with like 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, it's
Holy cow.
it's just something to throw in your bag of tricks, you know, if you can't get a bird going. And so it keeps me from having to use my hands and swap them out. You just have them in your mouth and you swap them over, so less movement and everything else.
Absolutely.
So and then I keep a pot call. It's just I think a Woodhaven cherry crystal call that I use a lot when I'm just kind of on top of a ridge trying to project some sound really good. And I'm actually trying out a trumpet call this year, so we'll see how that goes.
Ooh, yeah, that's one I have not even thought about broaching yet.
I don't sound anywhere close to good, but we're gonna test it out and see how it goes. So that would be in my vest this year. And then as far as like I guess supplies in my vest goes, I keep a set of clippers so I can clip a branch or 2 if I need to get it out of the way. I keep 1 headlamp in there. I usually try to walk in the woods without a headlamp in the dark if I can get away with it.
Yep. We're all the same way on that.
Yeah, unless there's absolutely no moonlight. Yeah, and I'll wear the headlamp until I'm getting close to where I want to be, and then I'll usually take it off my head and I'll cover it up with my hand and just kind of illuminate the ground below me, like for my next step. I really like to getting close to them under the roost if I've got one roosted, so I try to, you know, be careful with that. And then I just keep I keep a couple of paper tags in my vest. That's more for out-of-state stuff because different states require different things. Sometimes they require you to leg tag them and stuff like that. And you have to just write down all your information on that tag and attach it to their leg. So I keep that and a couple of those like a girl's like hair tie, like the rubber hair tie things.
Yeah, where you can tighten it down.
Yep, those are great
Gotcha.
because they don't break like a rubber band does. So I keep those, and I keep a couple of them tags in my vest just in case, because I don't want to lose it or anything like that, or be in the woods and need one and not have it. A couple of shotgun shells and keep water in the bladder, a couple of snacks in the backpack, and that's about it.
Yeah.
What shotgun are you running?
So I've been running a Remington A70 12 gauge since I was like 12.
Yep,
and
sounds about right.
it used to knock me off my feet when I was 12 because I thought I was cool and could shoot 3.5-inch shells. I don't know why I did that. Would not recommend it.
I was still trying that last year.
So yeah, I've been running that for a very long time. It's a reliable shotgun. I got no problems with it.
And then you recently switched to TSS as well.
Yeah, so I switched over to TSS. It's probably in that same range about 4 or 5 years ago. That's really when I started like kind of changing my turkey hunting ways a little bit and kind of figuring out my own style. I switched over to TSS, not for, I don't want to be one of those guys shooting them out at 75 yards or whatever. I keep my range to 40. I get a great pattern at 40. But that TSS just kind of gives that extra little peace of mind of, it's going to get the job done if there's a little brush in the way, anything like that. It's just a little bit of an insurance policy, and I've really enjoyed shooting it. It does a does a great job. So I mean,
Yeah.
I've been running it, and I'll probably keep running it unless for some reason I'm not allowed to.
Gotcha. Now, obviously, when you're covering different states, do different states have different laws on TSS or TSS loads or anything that you've run into, or not at this point?
I haven't run into it yet.
I guess it's still new enough that there haven't been a lot of different laws on it.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember which states they are, or even if they still, but I have heard that some states might not allow TSS. That might have changed the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I actually keep a box of Longbeard XRs with me, or I don't keep them with me, but I have a box of them in case I ever decide to go to a state that doesn't allow TSS, but I haven't run into any yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just...
Gotcha.
Right on. Well, I was gonna say what you're gonna be shooting a turkey with this year.
Yeah.
Old muzzle loader.
Yeah. Won't be happening. I was
Sitting right there.
I've got a musket in here, and I was telling Eric I just watched the hunting public video of Aaron trying to kill a turkey with his muzzle loader musket. I guess it was just an old style musket that he got from a grandfather. And watching that video severely incentivized me to never try and take that musket turkey hunting. I mean, watching him, it was literally like a 15+ minute process just for him to load the musket. And then he's constantly having misfires. He's killed like 2 turkeys out of the 6 or 7 he's shot at. It's obviously a brick to carry around in the woods. If you get one speck of moisture in it, you can go ahead and walk out of the woods.
Yeah, in springtime. I mean,
Yeah.
it never rains in the spring.
Yeah, never.
Never dew on the grass in the
Never.
mornings, right?
And
Always
then,
dry conditions.
obviously, it's 100+ years old. So he's in his hotel room with this musket in pieces. They don't make new parts for it. So he's like trying to jimmy rig this musket to work, and I'm like, I have zero desire to do this.
Well, hey, if you ever do decide that you're going to do that, please video it, because I would pay to watch that.
we gotta figure out why there's 2 triggers first. Everybody
This
knows.
has 2 triggers, but it's a single shot, obviously. So we're curious. I haven't looked into it, but
You don't know, Hunter. do you?
No.
We're all.
Historic firearms is not something that I've really ever been interested in.
not your cup of tea.
No.
Well, you know where he learned to do it from is. Do you guys watch the TV show Alone?
Yep.
Where they drop them off in like remote areas and they survive on 10 items? So Clay, one of the guys that won a few years ago, I don't know if you guys saw that season, but he was the guy that killed a moose with his recurve bow.
I didn't see that one.
Or his
I haven't seen
traditional
that.
archery.
It's crazy.
And then he built like a tower to hide all the meat because he had like a badger stealing it. And he killed the badger with his hatchet. Like,
Wow.
he was super intense, like the ultimate mountain man. But he hunts elk and moose and stuff like that with an old 1800s musket. And he has a whole YouTube channel about like historic firearms and hunting with them and stuff like that. And that's where Aaron learned how to do like his setups and stuff like that, like how to load it
Oh,
properly.
from that guy?
Yeah, from that
That's
guy.
crazy.
Because
That's
he like
wild.
reached out to him and they tried to coordinate a hunt together, but the timing didn't work out.
That's pretty
But-
cool.
So what exactly did he kill the moose with?
Wh-
It was a muzzleloader?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
like a musket.
A musket.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, when I started watching Alone, it was like the first season.
yeah.
The things they're allowed to bring now is insane.
Oh no! He killed on the show alone. He killed the moose with like traditional archery
Okay, alright.
that he
I got
brought.
it.
So like a trad bow and
But he like moose hunts with a musket outside of the show.
outside of the
Gotcha.
show,
Okay.
and
that's
moose
still
hunts
insane.
with a musket and stuff.
That's
yeah, it's
insane.
really intense. So, but either way, so a couple years ago, Hunter decided to outfit a van, which
Oh yeah, I gotta
was-
hear about this.
which in my mind was crazy. But he's traveled with it a good bit. He started getting into out of state turkey tours almost. So let's jump into a little bit of the van setup and how that's worked out, maybe some things you would change, and what you take with you when you're traveling to turkey hunt multiple days.
Yeah, so I run a gutter cleaning business here in North Carolina, and so we've got busy and slow seasons and everything else. Busier time is in the fall when leaves are falling and fill up your gutters, obviously. And so, you know, with turkey hunting, I don't have to work as much in the spring with the gutter cleaning, so I had the opportunity to be able to start traveling a little bit. I had an old work van, a Chevy Express 1500. I think it's 2003.
It's a sketch van.
It's a sketch van. It is, but it was basically it wasn't running good enough that I could actually keep it in commission as like a daily driver for work, and have my employees be able to reliably go out and work and not have it break down on them all the time. And so I was like, whatever, I'll just, get rid of it. And, obviously it wasn't worth a whole lot of money. So I decided I would strip it down inside and build it out to be essentially a camper van. I did it on a crazy low budget. So there's a lot of just jimmy rig stuff in there. And
I love that.
yeah, it definitely has its own personality. And if it's not me running it, if you were to be trying to use it to travel, you'd probably be lost trying to figure out how to get the fridge to work and everything else. But no, it works for me, and it allows me to travel and not have to pay for lodging, and I bring food with me and everything else. So it's pretty sweet. I've been to, I don't know, 7 different states, I think, all along the East Coast. And it's been great. I've loved it. I've been doing that for probably 3 years now. Yeah.
So how do you have it laid out? I've looked at it a couple times. I know you've got just a small mattress on one side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the 1500's the smallest work van that Chevy makes. So it's not big. So yeah, basically it's got side doors and back doors, and I just sealed off the side doors completely so that I can kind of gain wall space there. Because there's just not a lot of space in the back. And so yeah, just going down one side of it, I have a bed that I would like to make it a fold down bed, but at this point it's not. I just built it out of some plywood and some 2x4s, and it's attached to the wall there on the in the van, and it's just a twin size, and I've got a foam mattress on there. Sleeps great. Works out wonderfully. Then on the other side, there's basically enough room for me to be able to sit. I have like a little short chair almost. It's like a turkey stool basically that I can sit on.
Kind of like what you take dove hunting with the little flip up back and everything.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because the ceiling in the van's so low, if I were to have just a regular lawn chair, my head would be against the ceiling. So I had to get a really short stool. So I've got like a little stool there, and I keep a little fold-out table that's attached to the wall that I folded out, and I've got a little table there, and I've got a fridge on that side that's powered by solar power, and yeah, I have a little mini grill that I use to cook up some food, and that's about it. It's very simple.
That's all you need.
Yeah, it's the essentials. I mean, the entire day I'm out turkey hunting. Like, I'm not going to come back to my van until until it closes, whether it's at noon, 1 o'clock, or if it's at dark that I'm able to hunt. And so all I need is to be able to have a place to sleep and a place to eat, and it works great. I love it.
Cool. Fine. We'll do the best we can.
Yeah.
All right. I can't remember what we were saying.
We were talking about the van.
The old van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's get back to the van. Obviously, you...
Back to the van.
Should I not say it like that? Back to the van, is that like... What are you talking about?
Let's get back to the van.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Yeah, that sounds pretty creepy. Alright,
I don't keep candy in the back of the van, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't want to cringe there. Went right over my head, and now I got it.
We got the sketch van with the curtains on the side of the highway in West Virginia, and Eric's like, "You want to get back to the van?"
I'm just fitting in with the population out there, man.
I apologize. Let's get back on the topic we were talking about.
Of the van.
Of the van. If you're okay creepy about it.
That's fine. All right. Any issues? Has the van left you stranded yet?
It hasn't. It almost did last year.
I thought you said you jerry-rigged it.
I mean, yeah, but
wow.
I was on my way back from Virginia, I think. Yeah, I was on my way back from Virginia, so not super far if I do get stranded. and I just started having a lot of misfire issues, and turns out I had like 4 spark plugs that went out. But we're good.
Easy change.
Yeah, no big deal. So we're back after it. I mean, the van, you know, it's got like 250,000 miles on it, and I've put like 15,000 on it, just turkey hunting and stuff. Since I started doing that, and it's been running, you know, relatively fine.
The furthest trip you've gone is
Northern Ohio.
Northern Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
That's about 5 hours.
The part I went to was 8.
8. That's right. Yeah, I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah.
So 9.5 with the van.
It's closer to 9 with the van.
Slowly.
Once you hit about 65 miles an hour, you're topping out on speed. There's also no cruise control, which
that gets old.
I never knew how much I loved cruise control until I spent 6 hours straight of driving that van down the highway. And
yeah.
I've learned how to drive with my left and right foot. So when my right leg gets tired, I switch over to the left leg and drive it down.
NASCAR going on.
Yeah, it's got its challenges for sure. And there's no AC, so it's a windows down kind of deal. So it's got its own
Sleeping
challenges.
at night, how do you stay cool, and also how do you get like fresh air so you're not dying?
Yeah, so I actually
that would be stressing me out because I gotta have a little cool breeze to sleep.
Yeah, fortunately in April, early May, like depending on where you are, the nighttime temperatures still get down around 50-ish degrees. I've slept with it below freezing before, so it's usually not an issue of it getting too hot in there at nighttime. During the day, I don't even sit in the van. I sit outside and enjoy the breeze, and then when I get ready to go to sleep, I get in and go to sleep. But I do have it's like one of them greenhouse fans, they have in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
That just like pulls air out. It's not AC or anything like that. I have one of those in there that I plug in every once in a while if it gets too hot, and that cools it off by 10 or 15 degrees, and makes it more manageable.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, it's cool enough that I don't really have any problems with getting too cold or too hot. It's more getting too cold. So
nice, awesome. So, what states have you traveled to so far, and which states have you killed a turkey in?
Oh well, the ones I've traveled to is a lot bigger list than the ones I've killed turkeys in. Let's see. So. I've traveled to South Carolina, obviously.
Yep.
Killed turkeys there. Obviously North Carolina. Virginia, I've traveled there and killed turkeys. West Virginia, I've traveled there. I have not killed turkeys. I've missed turkeys there.
Okay.
That was a good time. I actually did that with Bradley.
That was the red dot experiment.
That was the red dot experiment. Won't be doing that anymore. Kentucky, I've traveled there and killed turkeys. Ohio, traveled there and missed. Maryland, traveled there, got a turkey killed right in front of me.
That will be a good hard luck story if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you want to talk about hard luck turkey hunting, I'm your man. Let's see, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you going this year?
So I'm still kind of figuring all that out. I'm in the process of finishing building my house right now. Should be done in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the topic of turkey hunting is a bit of a touchy subject around my wife at the moment. So it's not something I discuss right now.
Right.
So I've got some ideas of where I'd like to go.
Theoretical plans for this year.
I have theoretical plans at the moment.
Okay.
I definitely want to go back to a couple states I've already been to.
Yeah.
West Virginia's on the list. I've been talking about going to Tennessee like every year and just haven't done it. So I'm thinking I might try Tennessee this year. Maryland, if I've got time and I'm in the area, I might swing by Maryland. It's a pretty affordable license over there, so it's kind of hard to justify not going if you're in the area.
That's not one of those states too that like when you think I'm gonna travel to hunt Maryland.
Yeah,
it's pretty. Yeah. Unless you're going after one of those like 40-pound deer, that's not really like the top of the bucket list.
No, it's. I actually had never even considered it. Like you never even think of Maryland when you're even thinking like going up and down the East Coast. At least I don't. like I always skip Maryland and go right to like Pennsylvania and everything.
Yeah.
So, but I just kind of went across it a couple of years ago, and it was a fairly affordable license. The western side in the mountains, you've got mountains. You've got
Foothills.
yeah, you've got fairly decent opportunity, and it's beautiful country. It's not my favorite group of public hunters in the world, but I mean, it is what it is. You're gonna run across the crazies about anywhere. So it is what it is. But
Sure.
I enjoy it out there for sure.
Cool.
It's a beautiful place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, if you want to jump in, I'd love to hear a couple hard luck stories, and then also we've got a success story hunting together. I thought we could finish out with.
Sure.
Kind of close out. Obviously, we didn't accomplish the double we were trying to do together, but ended up closing out with Hunter calling one in for me to kill because I wasn't letting it take one more step for him to kill. So I figured we could close out with that story, but first we'd love to hear a couple maybe hard luck stories, some of the challenging public land figures you've run across.
Yeah.
And see how that all is.
Yeah. I guess I can probably start with my West Virginia experience a few years ago. It was my first year of traveling and turkey hunting,
Okay.
and so it was kind of like it was experimental for me this year or that year. I didn't travel as much. I think I did like a 2-week trip, and I mostly traveled like with friends and family. So like in Virginia, I met up with Scott and hunted with Scott in Virginia for like 4 or 5 days, and then I swung over to West Virginia, and our younger brother Bradley, he met me up there, and we hunted I think for 5 days in West Virginia. But the first day we were there, Bradley and I found one of those gobblers that has a spot in mind that he wants to get to. And he's going there no matter what. He's just going to gobble on his way.
Yeah.
And we actually chased him over like 3 mountaintops. And we were hot on his heels the whole way. Like we'd get up within about 100 yards. We'd sit down like, oh, we're finally in his bubble. And we'd call. And the next time he gobbled, he was 200 yards away and still moving. We chased him for a couple of hours climbing over those mountains and about died. It was...
Good thing you didn't kill him. That would have been a long way to carry him out.
It would have been a long way to carry him out, but it would have been a good carry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be complaining.
If I'm going to go all the way out there, I'm happy carrying an extra 20 pounds out, you know? But that was, I think we chased him all the way up until closing time. I want to say they closed at noon.
Okay.
And so I think we chased him up until around closing time. And in West Virginia, you actually have to have your gun in a case at the time it closes. You can't be walking out of the woods with your gun or anything like that. So we actually carried gun socks with us to throw over our shotguns if it hit noon on us.
Interesting.
But we usually played it safe and would start walking out around 11 and see if we could find anything on the way back to the van.
Smart.
So that was our first day in West Virginia, and we were just kind of figuring things out a little bit. And the piece of public we were on, the valleys of the mountains were mostly private land. They'd be mostly cattle pasture. It wasn't like farm field or like ag fields or anything like that. It was mostly cattle land. And all of the ridges around was all the public.
Right.
And so we were just out driving around a little bit trying to see what we could see, and we saw a bunch of turkeys out in the cattle pastures in the valley. And so that night we sat up on a ridge top opposite of them and watched them and watched where they flew up and everything. It was 800 yards we were watching them from. It was a good ways, but we kind of dropped a pin on it, and they basically flew out of the private into the trees were public. And so we made a plan for the next morning. We were gonna come from the back side of that mountain and come over the top and drop in and then slide over on them and try to get underneath them. One interesting thing to note is that the ridges of this particular mountain was so steep that there was actually no fence there for the cattle.
They just couldn't climb it.
Basically, they just couldn't climb it, so that was the fence.
That's intense.
It was pretty intense. It was straight up and down country for sure. So, dark 30, it might have been 3 a.m. We woke up because it was a good hike to get up and over and back down and then go across. So we did it mostly in the dark, mostly sliding, not much walking. We got up and over, and as we were going along in the dark, we went down in a ditch basically, and I guess that the cows could kind of get into the ditch and kind of work their way up the mountain. And we actually bumped right into a cow in the dark in the middle of the ditch.
Oh, man.
Sure, that was an eerie moment.
It was, because it was just all of a sudden a giant black animal right in front of you. Like it was about from me. Exactly, it was about from me to Eric, and it jumped and we jumped, and it was. It was a fun moment in the dark there.
I thought I needed a new pair of pants.
Yeah, it was trouble for sure. We freaked out a little bit, but we ended up sneaking along, and we kind of thought that these turkeys, because there was pines down at the bottom, really thick pines, briar patch thicket kind of a deal, and then it was hardwoods the rest of the way up. We figured they had flown up into the edge of the hardwoods and pines, so we actually decided it would be better for us to sneak through the pines to get up under them as opposed to the open hardwoods. So we snuck through the pines in the dark, busted a hen off the roost, and when we did that, we were close to the edge of the pines. And we said, you know, we're going to take 5 more steps to get where we can shoot those open hardwoods, and we're just going to sit. So yeah, we took those 5 more steps. We sat down. I was on one tree pointing up the ridge. Brad was probably 5 yards to my left on another tree pointing up the ridge, and we just sat there. And not 5 minutes after we sat down, the tree Bradley was sitting on, a gobbler started gobbling right above his head. And so we're just sitting there, and you know, after busting the hen off the roost, we both were just kind of like, chances of us having a gobbler on the roost now are pretty slim. I haven't had much experience busting birds off the roost and still having them gobbling right above me, you know. So I didn't have my face mask on, I didn't have my gloves on, nothing, and we're just sitting still as statues with him gobbling right over our heads. And so I'm just whispering back and forth with Brad, like, "Do you think you can kill him when he flies down?" Like, we were in a bit of a pickle.
You got to shoot him like a duck.
No kidding, man. But yeah, we basically knew though that he was going to fly down right in front of us. Yeah. In my experience, for the most part, when it comes to that hilly country, gobblers don't like to fly down the hill. They like to fly just straight across from where they are and land on the ridge.
Hit that open hardwood. 100%.
And so we knew we were in a good spot. It was just going to be a matter of, can we get our guns up and kill him before he sees us? Because we were not set up great to be able to be successful in that particular situation. And obviously I didn't call or anything. There was no need. I would have done a lot more harm than good calling in that situation. But yeah, just like we had thought he would, he flew down probably 25 yards right in front of us, and he immediately started walking straight up the ridge, because I guess he lost the one hen that was with him, so he was going to go off and find him a new one. So I'm telling Brad, like, "Do you have a shot? Do you have a shot?" And he's like, "No, I don't. And I had managed to kind of ease my gun up when he got behind the tree. And I had a red dot on there at the time. I do not anymore. And I put that red dot on his head at about 35 yards, and I let it fly. And I shot all 3 shells, and all 3 shot patterns probably went 10 feet over his head, and he took off. So yeah, and it was a pretty devastating thing to happen, and we weren't too pleased about it. And to make matters worse, he got off about 200 yards and started gobbling again, add insult to injury. And then there was a draw to our right, and him and I think 5 other gobblers all went down that draw about 100 yards to our right and got out into the private pasture again. So Bradley and I, you know, not all hope was lost. The turkeys were still around. We were in pretty good position, and so we got up on the side of the ridge and got probably 100 feet in elevation above those turkeys, and we started glassing them. And we said, you know what? We can move laterally, and we can head them off whenever they come back in. When the sun comes up and they need to cool off, we can get in here and head them off. And so we were in a pretty good position, we felt. So we were sitting up on the side of this ridge for probably an hour and a half, and those birds had started kind of curling back back in our direction a little bit, and we kind of eased over with them a little bit. And we were just starting to talk about they might be about ready to come back in the woods, and out of nowhere, shots just started ringing out. And we're just hearing bullets ping, just ping, and we're hitting the dirt like, what in the world is going on? And so I've got my binos up, and I'm just looking around trying to figure out where these shots are coming from. And about 300 yards away, down towards an old barn, there's this old hick out there with his rifle,
trying to play sniper,
laid over the fence, just trying to snipe one.
Oh my
and he's shooting right towards us. I mean, you couldn't have drawn it up in a worse situation. And he missed those first couple shots, and I just see him throw the gun over his shoulder, and he's on a dead sprint straight towards the turkeys. I don't know why. I guess he thinks he's gonna like sprint to a new position and lay waste to these turkeys. Needless to say, the turkeys all just go nuts. They end up flying way over the road onto some. It was a lost cause.
We're finding a new place to roost tonight.
They were gone. They were gone. So that was about the most excitement we got in West Virginia. Yeah. We had trouble getting on turkeys the rest of the trip, but yeah, it wasn't an ideal situation for us. Yeah. But just part of hunting public, you know.
That's about as hard luck gets for turkey hunting.
Yeah,
that's the definition of West Virginia right there.
Oh,
not against West Virginia people. You know, we love you, but
if you've got a stereotype, you've got a stereotype.
That's right. Definitely a stereotype.
Wow.
Yeah, he fit the stereotype. It was a good trip though. We had a ton of fun. I mean, it's why you get out in the woods. There's challenges, and you have to overcome those challenges. This was a bit of a different challenge than I was used to. Usually the turkeys provide the challenges and not the people shooting rifles at them, but it was a great trip nonetheless, and I'm hoping to be able to go back this year actually.
Are you going to go to the same area, or are you going to try a different area of West Virginia?
I haven't decided yet. There was a lot of turkeys in that area, so it's hard to be able to just look away from where there was a bunch of turkeys, you know. But no, I like finding new country, and so I might try some new areas out. I've done a lot of e-scouting and everything else. I live on my Spartan Forge app every night before I go to bed. I'm probably on it for an hour looking at maps.
We're on it.
Yeah, I was like, what's Spartan Forge?
Yeah, I can't help you there.
Do me a favor, if you go back to that West Virginia spot, check the fence before you hunt it.
Yeah.
For that hick.
No kidding. I will definitely be looking in that direction. But no, I'm excited to go back and try it out again this year if I can. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, why don't we close out with a good luck story, not a hard luck. So Hunter and I obviously have hunted together a good bit. Part of it at our hunting club. And so he and I went one morning. I believe this was the last year you were in the hunting club. Mm-hmm. And we had this great idea that we were going to double together. And
it started with some hard luck.
It started with some hard luck. And we got in the morning. First thing, we went to the swamp, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. We went all the way to the back of the swamp.
All right. I don't remember exactly what happened back there.
The birds were all gobbling at the front up towards the horseshoe.
Yeah, we went too far. So what did we do? Try and circle back to them and we couldn't get on them?
Yeah, so as I remember it, we were back on the lanes in the pines up on the border of the swamp in the very back, and there was no birds gobbling there, and they were all gobbling up at the front where the horseshoe is.
Yep.
So we made a mad dash back to the horseshoe to try and get to those birds.
Oh, we spooked one out of the tree, didn't we?
We did. Mm-hmm. We busted one right out of the tree.
Not gobbling, right on the field edge, and we're standing there owl hooting, no gobble. As soon as we go to walk in the woods, bust him off the tree. I remember that.
Yeah, because the birds always roosted back on that creek bottom back there. And I think they were roosted back there. There was just this one lone gobbler that was roosted on the edge of the field, and we busted him right out of there.
Yeah. Did we end up calling down in the horseshoe, or did we go ahead and start circling? Because I know we struck a bird on the far other side of that farm.
So we ended up sitting there and calling for like 15 minutes just to see if anything would respond. And when we didn't get a response, we ended up just kind of trolling around the back end there. And I think we both hooted, and you hooted and you didn't gobble, and I hooted and he did gobble.
Yeah, Hunter's got a much better owl hoot, I can admit that. So we end up striking a bird on the far other side of the property, and we're coming down this path, and he went from 300 yards away to 100 yards away like that.
Very quickly.
We hadn't even made it 50 yards down the path, and it was like he was on top of us. So we bail off the path. And if you're walking straight down a path, he was gobbling on the left side. We bailed off the right side.
Which is where we went wrong.
Probably 5 steps, which traditionally would be a good move because they'll come out and at least peek in the path and see if they see the bird. So we thought we were set. We were not. He came in, he wasn't 40 yards away, but he was so thick on that side, we could hear him spit drumming just. And me and Hunter are both like, can you see him? No. Can you see him? No. And then we would just get flashes of him, but we couldn't get a shot. We really wanted to kill 2. And there were probably points where both of us could have killed the bird.
Potentially.
We would have been shooting through some thick stuff, and we just could not get a good shot at him. And then we actually saw a hen come in and pretty much grab him and walk away with him. So from there we started walking out, and there's a spot up at the very front of that farm called the culvert. And it's a big creek bottom, and we always call as we're leaving just because the sound echoes all the way down both sides. And I'd say we very rarely hear a bird there. It's kind of a shot in the dark prayer. So Hunter was pretty much calling at this point because he makes better turkey sounds than I do, admittedly. No issue saying that. And so did I call? I almost think I called at that point because you had taken your call out. So I was screwing around, so I called about as loud as I possibly could, and I swore I heard a turkey gobble. And of course he wouldn't gobble again. So Hunter pulls his calls back out and calls, and the turkey double gobbles. As soon as Hunter hit the call, he double gobbled. And I'm sitting here just shaking my head. I'm like, he responded to me, and then he shut up when I actually needed him to respond to me. So we start making a move on this bird, and we dive into these pine trees, and every time Hunter spoke, that turkey would gobble back. And so Hunter and I sat down together, and we kind of just decided, we're like, all right, we're done trying to double, no more games for these birds. When this one comes into view,
he dies.
Whoever can shoot him, shoot him.
He's done.
Well, I'm shooting 3.5-inch long-beard XRs, number 5s. And that is a boatload of a shot. It's out of a 12 gauge, that's like throwing a 55-gallon drum at them. Well, that bird is just eating out of Hunter's hand, coming in on a string. Well, all of a sudden Hunter goes, I see him. Well, it didn't take 2 more steps. There was a bush in the way, and Lord knows what other brush. I let fly. And I think Hunter will vouch. It was like a whole train of foliage coming at this bird along with the shot.
If the shot didn't kill him, all the splinters would have.
There was no way on God's green earth I was letting that bird take one more step where Hunter could kill him. I was shooting that bird, and I hammered.
Man. And that next step he was going to take, I was going to have a wide open, beautiful shot.
I knew it was about to open up, and because of the angle we had sat at, I was pretty much turned as far left as I could turn. We had set up where if he came in on the right, I could shoot him. If he came in on the left, Hunter was going to be able to shoot him. And I was turned as far to my left as I could shoot, and when I could see peaks of his head through all the brush, and I said,
Here's
No,
my
here he goes. I laid waste to him. But Hunter, being a great brother, he celebrated with me. We were tickled to death. I mean, it was a great morning.
What time was that when you killed him?
Probably 10:30.
I'd say about 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30. You know, he had probably had a hen at first light, had gotten done, and was a lonely midday gobbler, and always a blast to reap the benefits of Hunter's great calling and sit there and get to be the trigger puller. But no, it was a great morning. We celebrated, had a great time together. Always great experiences to hunt with family and enjoy that time.
Yeah,
So.
no, it was an awesome hunt. I think it was my last hunt in North Carolina that year because I think I hopped in the van and went traveling right after that.
You started traveling.
Yeah.
And probably a good thing I shot him because I'm pretty sure right after that was the West Virginia miss with the red dot.
Yeah, it was.
So
I
if
probably
I hadn't
missed.
shot him, you know, that shot with your red dot may have gone a foot over his head.
Yeah, I'm sure it
You
would.
hit the red dot at the time when you guys
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, he
I
was
did.
running the red dot.
You're just saving them.
I was just making sure the turkey died. So. Either way, no, great experiences. Looking forward to obviously more hunts with Hunter, and yeah, that's kind of the kickoff. You know, we're getting into March. I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot more turkey hunting content coming up. I think me and Eric are going to kind of break down our turkey hunting setups and kind of our plans for the year in the next episode. I know Eric's got a pretty cool experience. Where'd you kill that bird? Connecticut?
Connecticut.
Yeah, Eric's got a really cool story from killing a bird in Connecticut, so we're going to hear that on one of these next couple episodes. But Hunter, any final thoughts to leave us with going into this turkey season?
I mean, not really, but if you have the opportunity to be in the woods, be in the woods. You never know when they're going to be gobbling. And I hope you guys have a great season, and hope all your listeners and viewers and everyone else hope they have a great season. Stay safe out there. Don't do anything stupid. Don't become a statistic.
Yeah. Well, be safe out traveling in the van this year. Hope it runs.
Appreciate it. It's in the shop right now.
There you go. Get
all tuned up.
Get it tuned up. Preseason tune up. Congratulations on the baby on the way. Hope all that goes well.
Thank you.
Hopefully it doesn't come too early, so you have plenty of time to spend in the turkey woods. And,
yeah, that was one of the criteria for my wife. I said we can start trying, but it's not going to overlap with turkey season when it's going to be born. So we're not due until July, so I'm hoping we're good to go there.
Yeah, you should be set. But
I have the same conversation. I thought I was the only one.
I don't know.
Lauren's like, "Are you kidding me? You got a plan when we're having a baby?"
I told her that when we were getting married, man. I said, look, nothing interferes with turkey season. Like we can try as much as you want, but if it gets to a point where it's going to potentially overlap with turkey season, we're going to quit trying for a while.
3-month increments.
That's right. That's right.
But no, it was good. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A while.
It's been a
And,
while.
look forward to hopefully having you on again here soon.
Yeah, sounds great.